That's the
Gosh,
one
do
that
you
I
hear
tried to
that?
make. I tried to make it like The Simpsons on that one. That was me trying to
I didn't
channel.
hear any bolts,
Oh, you're right.
which in my experience is a
That's a Simpson.
that's a Simpson. That's what a Simpson do.
Bart's like, hey
Was it
man, what's your favorite drug? And Homer Simpson's like, dope.
kid is on drugs, right? His
The-
disdain for
There is an episode where Bart
rules.
is on drugs. I forget. I
Oh
think
really?
it's, or maybe he just goes to like a smart kids class. I think he just goes to us. There's probably an episode where Bart goes on drugs and like prescribed by a doctor.
Yeah, oh yeah, he gets put on like some kind of like
ADHD medication like Ritalin or something like that.
yeah.
I tried to make this railing get smaller as it tweaking this drawing is. I'm tweaking,
Okay.
bro. I'm tweaking. Welcome.
Like some
It's a
stylized perspective.
That's right. It's another episode of DrawBomb, folks. It's your favorite DrawBois is Brandon.
There
And
you
then
go,
your
that's
least favorite least favorite DrawBois is Ian.
Well,
Welcome.
I can't
welcome.
help that I'm so likable. I shouldn't be punished for it. I shouldn't be made to feel bad.
How dare? How very
Because
dare?
people love me.
Every day we finish an episode and I'm just like, you fuck, stealing all my thunder.
They're like, I swear to God, if you do it again to me next week, it will be hell to pay.
Who do you think you are, the anti-Thor with all my thunder that you're stealing? You shit.
It's anti-Thor thing.
I don't know. Probably.
Oh, okay.
Anything's
point. They're just
possible,
like-
yeah.
They're like, this way we can cast two actors as Thor.
So you're
He's
telling
evil
me
Thor and good Thor. It's like remember our last phase, multiverse? This is the Bizarro phase. Now it's evil copies of every character.
you're telling me there's a red Hulk? Well, now anything's possible.
No, bro, Hulk's green, and I refuse to accept him in any other hues.
You tell me that there's a red Hulk, I will literally scream and poop.
I will go
department
into a
store.
state of Hulkamania.
That's right. I'm coming for you, brother. Anyways, Brandon, how have you been this past week?
I've been fantastic, except been 2 weeks. It's been
It's true. It's been 2 weeks since we hosted DrawBomb.
did the show.
Wow, that's so catchy.
We should write a song.
We should. For every time that we miss an episode by a couple weeks, we should just have like a different theme song that explains our absence. Like we record one. You see, I
People love
had a
exposition
family
in the form
function.
of music,
Yeah,
especially you.
I could do it. I could make all of our musical dreams come true.
You hate musicals. Why would you do that to yourself?
Do hate musical. Well, hey, look, I hate a musical that's wasting my time. Okay, there's a difference. Okay, there's a musical where it's like, oh, this song is I've complained about this enough. I don't need to go.
I know, but I do want to dig in just a little bit one more time. 'Cause
Okay.
I don't feel like I knew this detail, and we'll move on after. We won't make you talk about musicals for the 700th time. Okay, so you don't like it wasting your time. In what way do you feel they waste your time?
So it's like sometimes it's like the previous scene will set up that this person is sad and they're acting sad in the scene, and then they'll follow the scene up of them acting like clearly sad with them singing a song. I'm sad. I am so sad. And it's like,
Okay,
no,
so you don't like redundancy.
I don't like redundancy. I don't look.
You don't want the song to be about story beats that you're already aware of.
Yeah, look, if you're gonna have a fucking musical number, it's gotta reveal something I don't know. It's gotta explain a motivation that I am not already previously aware of. And that's the main shit. Like if you're just wasting my time being like, you know what, we needed to get this movie to a full hour 30 minutes. Let's throw another song in here. I'm like fucking.
You need the music to move the plot forward.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that so much to ask for? You know?
No, I don't think so. I just.
Is that a ridiculous? Is that a ridiculous?
Yes, a little bit.
Request? Why?
not a ridiculous request, but it's an interesting hill to stand upon.
It's not a hill I'm dying on or anything like that. I'm just like, if I'm like watching a musical, and I'm like, okay, this fucking song. First of all, if you're gonna waste my time with a song, the song better be good. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people who write music for musicals, they ain't writing those songs because they got a fucking they got to be frontman of like Aerosmith or some shit like that. And I don't even
agree.
like
There's
Aerosmith
some kind
that
of
much. Sorry, go ahead.
There's some kind of like cheesiness to
yes.
Like show tunes.
There's
right?
there's a
especially newer ones.
Yes, there's a quality to them that I'm going to call like musical theater-y, where it's like
It is exactly musical theater.
That's not my vibe, you know? Is just like there are plenty of like there are so many musical songs. Like for instance, I love the movie Moana because number one, Moana's got like 4 songs in it. And they don't like they pepper them in like every like half hour or something like that.
Music's pretty good, I feel like, in that movie.
And I love the music in Moana. The You're Welcome with The Rock, the I'm Shiny with Jermaine from Flock of Seagulls. Those songs are both bangers, okay? And you know what?
I can't. Flock of Seagulls, but
did I say Flock of Seagulls? You know what I mean. Flight of the Conchords, Flight of the
I
Seagulls.
knew exactly what you meant. I just couldn't let you get away with it. That's all.
No, you better not. No, but I love both of those. I think both of those songs. I listen to those songs outside of the context of the movie. That's a song. Like if your musical has a song where I'll listen to it outside of the context of the movie.
That's a good song.
That's a good song. Great. You know what? You nailed it. You did the homework. But if you're wasting my fucking time, or if I don't like the song, why are we even here? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like that's my thing. That's it. And like here's the thing. Grease Lightning, I love the songs in Grease, okay? I think they're all pretty much bangers, okay? So I'll stand Grease. Singing in the Rain. Look, none of the songs matter in Singing in the Rain. They're all kind of a waste of time. But I fucking like those songs. Moses supposes his toes are roses. That's a banger. That's a 1930s banger or something like that.
There's something about older musicals. I think. I don't know. Maybe it's like
they don't have that musical theater quality to them. They still feel a little bit less.
Yeah, they feel like classier. I don't know how to describe it really, but.
There's like the musical theater vibe. I don't know how to describe it, but it is a little corny, you know? Like when it feels very musical theater. And like I love musical theater, don't get me wrong. I actually like my roommate in freshman year of college was a musical theater major. He took me to so many damn plays, and I'll tell you what, he took me to good plays, okay? He took me to good ones. There are a lot of musical theater-esque songs where I'm like, nah man, I'm sorry. This just ain't for me. I think part of the thing
you demand from musical theater, and I'm on your side on a lot of what you're saying, is also what causes the problem, because they're trying to do exposition during the song, and that's a hard tightrope to walk.
Yes.
To not make a cheesy song. If you're trying to deliver like story beats while also making a song that's catchy, it's hard enough to write a script when it doesn't rhyme and go to a music, number.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like trying to fit that stuff in is often what gives it that cheesy feeling, because it's like this character that's like talking to you, telling you like what's going on. But we can move on from this if you want. I know I bring this. I know I make you.
You know me. I will
explain yourself on this a lot. Okay, I didn't know. Sometimes you're like this again. Oh, you're gonna make me describe why I don't like certain textures in my food. Fine.
Look,
here we go.
I'm happy to talk about. I'm a fucking narcissist. I will talk about myself all day. I just feel bad for other people where they're just like, okay, and in this episode, Ian talks about King of the Hill for another 2 hours. Okay, we get it, Ian. We understand. I hate to tread old ground, not for my sake, but for everybody else who's watching.
Fair enough. Anyways, I think those are fair arguments, even though you overall don't like them, and I am I don't know. I wouldn't say I watch a lot, but I do like a musical.
I love a
But
look.
I think your complaints are also things that I agree with. Like I've seen a lot that I'm just like rolling my eyes at it, or it feels like it just feels like dorky, like just because the music's not good enough. I don't know.
There's like an aspect to musical theater esque type music, like that quality that I don't like, and I don't know how else to describe it other than like so lily white. You know, there's like a really white aspect to musical theater, like that quality of music that I'm describing as musical theater quality that I don't like, where it just feels so prim and proper, and like it feels rigid a lot of the times. I don't know how to describe it.
I think you have described it. I agree with you.
You know what's a movie that is a musical that I hated the first 20 minutes of, but then once I got past the first 20 minutes, I was actually like, no, this is really good.
What?
Take a guess of all the musicals that exist.
Okay, that narrows it down.
You don't have to guess. I can just tell you.
I'm not gonna guess.
Okay, it's across the universe. It's like this movie that's like.
Should have guessed. I was almost gonna say that.
You were gonna guess it. It's a musical based on like the Beatles songs, but it's like its own unique story, but it's telling it with all the songs are Beatles songs, and you know they use. So and it's I hate the first 20 minutes because it's like a medley of like a bunch of Beatles songs, kind of like told over 20 minutes as like this really sort of sappy and like melodramatic like montage sequence is essentially happening, showing like, oh, this is the trials and tribulations and strife of like the 50s and 60s, and I'm like, I get it. I really hate the way you're stringing these songs together right now. I hated it. I did not like the first 20 minutes.
But hey, you know these songs. Hey, don't you know this one? What about this one?
And I hated it, but
These
then
are Beatles songs.
they do eventually get to the part where the actual plot is happening, and then I actually really like both of their songs, like the way they do the renditions of the songs. Although I will say, well, I'll get to it later, but they just like the song when they do a song musical number. Once the plot starts, then like the visuals will start to get like really trippy. Like there's like I want you so bad, and it's like a guy getting recruited by the draft for the Vietnam War, and like Uncle Sam like pops out of the poster and he's all oil painty and he's like pointing at the guy. It's really cool. The visuals get really cool.
I've seen this, but it's been a while. I was in high school last time I saw it, so.
Gotcha. Yeah. I like it. I think it's good except for that first 20 minutes, and then I will say also Bono sings "I Am the Walrus," and he does not.
He's not the walrus, it turns out.
He doesn't bring it in the I Am the Walrus rendition that he does. I'm like, and you would think that Bono, you know, he sang Vertigo, man. Like, you think he would hit those notes really nice, but he's a little crusty in his I Am the Walrus. I don't know.
I'm the only one to do one take.
That's right. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on the Beatles, and I also have a lot of thoughts on musicals and music in those movies. Speaking of which, I can actually tell you, when we do our little, hey, what'd you watch? What'd you listen? What'd you play? Thing. I have on a rare occasion where I have an album to talk about. We don't usually have an album to discuss.
I'm excited.
Yeah, but I want to ask you first because I've already ranted. I feel like I should give you a chance to fucking get a word in edgewise. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That is gross.
Unbelievable. That's disrespectful. You asked me my opinion and then you just ripped a fat burp.
A fat mouth fart, you know.
That is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's I mean, I really can't think of a better equivalent.
Unbelievable. Well, even with that lead in, I guess I'll take the bait. Let's see. We've been watching The Bear. I've seen it. Morgan has not. Show. So we just finished the first season.
Great.
I've watched all of it.
I haven't seen season 2, but I love season 1.
Seen season 2, but I'm re-going through it because she hasn't seen it. And it's a fun rewatch. It's a good show.
Great show. I highly recommend.
I kind of get similar feelings when I watch it to when I play what's that fucking game where you like all trying to like plate up dishes real fast.
Cooking Mama.
Uncooked. Not
Oh,
the
okay.
mama. Uncooked. I get the
Wow,
same vibes I kind of get
even
where that rhyme. Better than mama.
I'm just imagining like the guy like in the season finale of season 1, he punches the guy and he hits his head against the table and like they're not sure if he's dead, and then she goes, "Wow, even better than mama."
But and when I say similar vibes, I mean how I'm trying to play Uncooked, but the setting is I can't fully enjoy it because it's too relevant to me. It's too like familiar.
That's fair. Yeah, it's a very realistic show about working in the food industry.
I've been working in the food industry for almost 10 years, and I worked in the kitchen for about half of that. Not on the line, but I mean, I was doing like expo and stuff like that. But I wasn't cooking, but I was like, I was right there. And it's, I don't know, I watched the chaos of that show, or like that video game or that kind of stuff, and it's just like, it's like, this is supposed to be my escape when I sit down and watch TV. It's so I don't have to think about the things that stress me out in real life. But it is a good show. I like it.
Yeah. I've mentioned this. We talked about this show one time in a previous episode, but I'm not going to expect people to go back to like episode 140 to hear my like opinions on this.
Real fans will know our opinions.
Real fans remember what Ian said about the bear. But no, what I like about the bear, this is at least present in season 1. I don't know about season 2, but there is like this, at least what I've noticed is there's like a very specific sort of like dichotomy. There's like a difference between a healthy resolution to conflict and then like an unhealthy resolution to conflict, and how it like rewards slash punishes people who take those routes. Like there are moments in the show where a character will solve a conflict in a healthy manner with like dialogue and just sort of like hearing people out and things like that, and then the problem is solved amicably. But like when somebody uses a toxic way of like problem solving, like when the guy punches that like dude who's being rowdy in their shop, and they have to like go to the hospital, make sure he didn't kill him, and things of that nature. Things go really, really wrong whenever they respond in a bad way to these conflicts and do bad conflict resolution. And I've just noticed there seems to be like this, and I don't know how intentional this is from the creators of the show. I just do feel that sort of like divide thematically in healthy conflict resolution and like unhealthy, like when they resolve a conflict in a bad way, or like when they take a really bad action to try and solve a problem, like it always goes hard. Like especially the most stressful episode of season 1. I don't think I need to even tell you which episode that is, but it's the one where the printer goes crazy. He solves his problem, or he like kind of tackles the issue in an extremely unhealthy manner. He just freaks out and like makes life worse for everybody, and that like almost ruins the restaurant. Whereas there's the episode where like there's a drive-by shooting, and the one character responds by like feeding people sandwiches and like getting beef settled, and like until the one guy calls the cops, like that works. And it's like there's just like this very specific, if you approach this conflict in a bad way, it goes extremely dramatically wrong. But when you approach a conflict in a healthy manner, it goes extremely okay for them, and it works out. And that's an aspect of the show that I both really enjoy, because it feels thematic with just what I've experienced in a kitchen, where it's just like everything's always like on fire, and it's like you can solve this by screaming, or you can solve this by figuring it out, and it's always better to figure it out. And I really enjoy that aspect of season 1, at least. I can't comment on season 2, but
that's a great point, because I do like that the show feels accurate to the stress and chaos you get in the kitchen, but it also, I like that it, like I didn't think about it really till you just said it, but I like that it solves problems. When problems get solved, it happens in like a real way, instead of, I see so many things where they're like, and even in a kitchen, so many people that are just like, no man, this is how it is in a kitchen. Like, like you don't have thick enough skin if you think this is bullshit that everybody's being like toxic to each other and screaming and stuff. Like, it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. And I feel like people often just want to be like, nope, that's a kitchen. So either, if you can't handle the heat, leave.
It's like there's the girlfriend or the wife of the cousin character of the main guy, and it's like she's so mean to, I forget everyone's names because it's been a while since I watched the show, but she's so mean to like the wannabe chef who she's like rising up in the restaurant. She's kind of becoming like the partner sort of like the restaurant, and she's so mean to her in the beginning, but then like, and you like, oh, I don't like her. And then like a full by the end of the season, she's come around and she's like responding like an adult, and like it shows like as the season progresses, like when they're all like at each other's throats and just not working as a team in the kitchen and like again handling things in a very toxic and unhealthy way, the restaurant's failing. But the moment that everyone's finally on the same page and everyone's like chill, that's when things start to go right. That's when they find like the stuff in the tomato soup. And like, you know, like it's only once everyone's actually on board and like working together that like the problems, like the restaurant's done being like, they can actually like evolve as a restaurant. Like they literally, from what I understand, they evolve into like the Bear restaurant that he's planning all of season 1. Season 2 is like, I hear season 2 is a very different vibe than season 1. Like it's like almost a different show because of like how the sandwich shop has like sort of progressed.
I think I wouldn't say it's fully different. It's like, you know, it's another like they're at a very different stage. Oh, go ahead.
They're rollerblading in the game, not on a skateboard. I just want to give you a heads up. Sorry,
that was
I don't.
Penis I was drawing, but okay, I'll draw rollerblades.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to be that guy. If you want to draw, if you want to do it like skateboards, I'm cool.
I want to do it right.
Okay. Sorry, well, I cut you off. You were saying something.
I don't think the vibe is maybe. I mean, you know, opinion. It's just opinion. So maybe somebody would disagree. Maybe you'd disagree. But I don't think the vibe is that different. I think it feels similar. It does dig a little bit more into certain characters and the relationships, but they are at a very different stage. You know, like now they're opening a fine dining restaurant versus running a failing
sandwich shop.
Like sandwich shop. So it's, you know, it's different because they're doing different things, but I feel like it's similar.
Yeah, I like how the story progresses. I should watch it.
Me
soon,
too.
But yeah.
Me too. I was thinking while rewatching it, I'm like, the name the Bear, it kind of gives it a, like, it almost feels like a different meaning. Like, you know, say the show goes 5 seasons and 4 of it is them running the restaurant.
Yeah.
The Bear is the name of the restaurant, and the first season is just like how we got to that point. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of.
It's cool. I like that.
Kind of, yeah, I like the progression.
I like it when a show feels like it's moving. Like, you know, you can have those shows where it's like a procedural, or like there's a lot of sitcoms where it's like back to status quo. But I do really appreciate when a sitcom, even or if it's like, because the show is almost a sitcom, but it's like a drama comedy. It's a dramedy, but like there is a sort of status quo, at least when it comes to the first season with the restaurant. But I do appreciate. Like, I like when a sitcom that has, like, a status quo, like, I like when that status quo does shift. So there still feels like there's some sort of movement in the overall, like, show. You know what I mean?
Totally. Figured out how to rotate stuff. I've never known that all the time I've used DrawBomb.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, learning. We got some chat to read if we want to.
Oh, please do. Please read the chat.
your
I'm sorry, we've just
process.
No. We've talked about the Bear. I've said pretty much what I can. Like, I keep talking about, you know, how I think season 1 is, because I haven't seen. I'm not caught up to date, so there's only so much I can say. What's the chat hollering at us about?
So let's see. We got Xenus in the chat. Welcome. He says, "What's this Jack Skellington ass intro music? I love it." You kind of described what it was. So
yeah, that's actually pretty accurate. Danny Elfman.
Lotus Clock says, "Hello, Brandon and or Ian. You boys seem festive tonight." Yeah,
I am
we're festive, all right.
That's right.
You know what holiday it is today?
Groundhog Day?
No, definitely not. That's definitely not it. You want to know what it is?
It is Clock Day today.
National Chocolate Fondue Day is what the internet says. So that's why we're so festive. The other options, there's a few.
Ooh.
National Shower with a Friend Day.
Okay.
That's a good one. I like that one.
That's a great one, yeah.
We
should redo this whole title card.
National Weather Person's Day. They get a day.
Hug your local weather guy.
Yeah, go find him. National Fart Day. Our favorite day of the year.
I celebrated.
I think that's every day for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I had a lot of cheese on my burritos. So.
Ooh, coincidentally, National Fart Day also lands on National Pork Rind Day. That makes sense.
Methinks this is a little bit of vertical integration of the holidays. You know what I mean?
They're planning around it. That's good. Those are, I think, those are the important ones. I think.
I agree. Yeah, those are the ones I care about. You give me another one, and I'll fucking, my eyes will glaze over.
I won't tell you anymore. So that's why we're so festive. Obviously, we got Leviathan Den subscribed for 38 months. My God.
Hold on, I got this. I got.
We love you. We love you.
Wow! 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 Wow!
And one more.
What?
And one more.
Wow!
There we go. That puts us at 38. Perfect.
There we go.
So thank you, Leviathan Den. We love you. What else? Lotus Claw, Ian or Brandon, do you authorize me to post the drawing I made this afternoon on the DrawBomb Along channel? Absolutely. In fact, always do that. I mean, you don't have to ask, but we appreciate it.
You really don't. You don't have to ask. As
Very
long as it's
polite
like
of you, but it's not necessary.
As long as it's not something like, you know, gross or full of boobies or something like that, then, you know, maybe put a spoiler tag on it or say, hey, is it okay if I show the bomb guy like dicking down something or other, you know what I mean? Like, if it's gonna be like that, feel free to ask permission.
Just if you draw something like that, you're gonna have to send that to my email so that I can delete it.
Yes.
I need to delete that. So
for a private audit.
Send that to my private email. Also we got first time chatter says, hello, I want to offer promotion of your channel.
I tried to ban them, but for some reason I don't have the fucking icon.
They're invincible. All right, I'm gonna delete the message.
Thank you, I appreciate that. From OBS, they won't let me ban people, at least.
We just don't. We don't want to take cheat codes. I know that you give us all these new followers, but you know, we want to earn it.
I was on LinkedIn trying to find work because bills, but
Lotus Clock says, I guess now is not the time. I'll show it to you later when we get off stream. Oh, sorry, we were just slow to get to the chat, but
we're gonna,
if you're still here, go ahead and post it. You know,
we're sometimes we gotta converse. You know.
Yeah, the chat. I have too much going on here. I got 3 screens. And one of them, the one with the chat on, is the furthest away from me, unfortunately.
Do you actually have 3 screens?
I have 2 screens in my tablet. So yeah, I have my battle station.
Jealous. I'm jealous. I would love to have a screen, a third screen, but it's like one of those ones where I rotate it so it's more vertical format resolution than horizontal.
One of mine can flip that way. And maybe I should try that actually. It would free up some space on the desk.
I have like because like when I'm streaming, like if I had a third screen that was just like the music, I have a lot of thoughts about how I could, you know.
I bought a new monitor. Well, this was a while ago. I've had 3 screens for probably over a year now, but I bought a new monitor and I was like, okay, I guess I should put this like in the closet or sell it. And I was like, or 3 screens. And then I did that, and now
that's the correct answer.
No going back.
Yeah.
There's no going back. You can only have more screens. You can't have less.
You can't have less. I've tried.
I'm getting messier. I'm spreading out.
I've tried living the 1 screen life after living the 2 screen life for many a year, and I tell you what, I can't. I can't reduce my screens.
Definitely couldn't do 1 screen. Unless it was some kind of just massive screen. But that would be awful to be like, I've tried that one time too. One time I didn't have a monitor because mine broke, so I hooked up a TV. And I was like sitting an inch away from this TV, and I'm like, this is terrible. My eyes are going to explode.
That's fair. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh my god.
Are you looking?
Fantastic drawing by Lotus Clock. I need to show this off immediately.
Make sure you post it on a fresh layer.
Yes, I know. You screw up one time, you never hear the end. Well, in my defense, I didn't know.
It's okay. I'm not.
Would do.
I know. Well, to be fair, Drawpile should have not done what it did, but you know.
This is a beloved character. Some of you may know who it is. This is Action Clock and,
Oh, man.
and Top Cat Yo's child.
Meow. I like how you gave it like nipple eyes.
I think his eyes were like. There's a few shots that this is all accurate to.
Yes.
He's doing great, by the way. If everybody's wondering, it's been a few years. He's in college now.
Yeah.
We're very proud of him. He's
The other one, I don't know so much. I really tried to make that third clone, or that second clone, as horrific as I could, and I feel like I'm happy with how horrifying it became.
Yeah, it's just like a lump of flesh.
Pretty great. I'm a big fan.
Great drawing, Lois Clock.
That is great. You nailed it. You knocked that one out of the park. Excellent work. So you've been watching The Bear.
Oh, real quick, I wanted to write here. Lotus Clock in the Discord wrote, "This character is so adorable that Brandon immediately tried to kill him the second he was born." It's true.
It's true.
You know, I was
eyes.
jealous. I was jealous of them looks. Like,
Don't you dare think about having my beautiful creature.
killed it with a sword that I found on a clip art. It's like,
Yeah.
I like that the sword was like still had the background on it.
Yeah, that part's great.
Okay.
It's funny. There's a lot of like intentional touches we did that look bad, but were either more work, or were actually just legitimately less work. Like the sword was.
It was
actually less work.
If I drew a sword, it would have been real shitty too. So that was a intentional decision, just because I thought it'd be funny. But
Yeah.
But yes, it was less work too. It was a win-win. Is what that was.
And then I fucking made the smoke that came out of the machine. The words smoke.
And that was more work, I'm sure.
That was more work. Very difficult. But yeah. I like that cartoon. That's still one of my favorites that we've
Good
done.
times.
My faves. We should do another. I mean, I like that format of making
Yeah.
a
I would love to do
collaborative
that.
cartoon. And we should sit down sometime and do. I don't know how we'd
Just add it to the pile of projects.
Yeah, like we'll, one of a million. Just throw it on top of the pile. So you've seen.
I mean, we could always do it in that same fashion where it was done like in a matter of like a day or two.
Oh, like we would have to like limit it to like a week, like 2 weeks total time to get everything done. We'd have to find like a good week for it. But like I think we would probably have to do it like non-clock. I feel like,
Yeah, no, I agree. As much as that the clock crew has a special place in my heart, I'd rather do something just not clocks.
Yeah. But no, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Big fan of our results all 3 times.
Good stuff.
Good stuff,
Sorry, I
good
cut you off.
stuff.
You were asking about.
Oh, I'm
the
just.
bear.
Have you watched? Have you interacted with
Um,
any other?
That's about it for shows. I just saw last night that the new episode of Curb dropped, so I'll probably watch that tonight.
I didn't know that.
Excited.
Oh my god.
So excited. This is the last season.
This.
I
is
mean,
the
he
last
said that
season.
once before, but I actually believe him this time because he's like, how old now? I don't know.
He's pretty
old
old.
enough.
He's an old man.
So that's exciting.
That was exciting. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Other things. I've been playing some video games. That's a thing.
Hey.
I played a little Pal World, little
yeah.
bootleg Pokemon. I've been playing a little Forest with Leviathan Den, friend of the show. Regular Forest, yeah.
Okay.
And a little Final Fantasy remake.
Oh, which one? The newest one? That, like, I know there's one that's
The
dropping.
newest one drops this month, so I'm trying to finish up
Trying to catch up.
the other one that I haven't beat it, but
Is
you know,
this
it's been
new
out
one
for a while.
this new one that's coming out? Is this like the last of the remakes, or is this because like last I heard there's like one like remake. How many versions of the remake have come, or not versions, you know, but like in the series of remakes?
Pieces?
Yeah, how many pieces have come out at this point? 2?
This
or
is gonna be
one?
the second piece.
This is the second piece.
I think there might have been a little like middle, small, like I don't know if it's like a demo or like a little thing. I think they may have released a little in between thing,
Okay.
but mostly pretty much this will be the second one that's coming out.
Okay, and the first one is basically all in Midgar, as far as I'm aware, right? So
The scope of the first one is pretty small. This one though is supposed to be gigantic. From what
that's
I've
the thing.
heard.
Is it all of after Midgar, or is it so it's like, you know, Final Fantasy VII in the original version came on like 4 discs, and it was like first disc was Midgar, second disc was like up to a certain like the Golden Saucer or some shit like that. Like I think you get to like the mining town, and then the third version was up until, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't heard of a video game in the last 20 years, like Eris dying. And then the fourth one was just like everything is like you can go everywhere, but it's like most of the plot has been solved, but you still have to like talk to like fit in the final people, but like, you know, you have the airship. So like I'm just curious how much of this new remake version, like if we were to like call it in terms of like the 4 discs that the original game came out in, like how much of the discs.
I wish I had more info for you.
I don't expect you to have
fully
the
know. I do know that this one is the equivalent of 2 discs, except that people don't use discs anymore. So, but it's huge. From what I've seen, the file is going to be gigantic. It's also got like a lot of the open world stuff happening finally. So that's a thing. I don't know. I don't know if this is the last one. If there's going to be a third piece, I don't know. I'm sure one small Google search would give me that answer because it's so close. So I'm sure.
For you though.
Well,
I'll let
knowing
you be
whether I have to
surprised.
spend an additional $60 or $70 now. Well, I actually didn't buy any of these. I'm playing my brother's copies. But whether I have to buy another game is not the kind of surprise that I'm like, oh, don't want to spoil it.
True.
You know,
if I had
if
gone
the rest
into
of the game is in this
Spider-Verse-
piece, I'll be thrilled.
If I had gone into Spider-Verse knowing it was going to end on a giant fucking cliffhanger, I would have been like, I'll still see it, but I would have been ready.
Yeah, I was not ready. But I'm watching and I'm like, there's no... How long is this fucking movie? Like,
That's what once they all like started meeting up in like the final universe that we end up in for the movie, I was like, okay, this feels like they're setting up for like another hour of, there's no way, like this movie's over and they're gonna leave me on a cliffhanger. And then sure enough, like 5 minutes later, it's like,
did it.
to be continued. I'm like, you fucks.
No one knew. The whole audience was like, what?
Yeah.
My whole audience that I was in the theater with reacted negatively to that.
I believe I don't think it was very audible, but I did feel like the air. I felt the vibe.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of disappointment and like, oh. But to be fair, like, I mean, every single second of that movie was incredible.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see the next piece. So I mean, I guess what does that tell you?
Yeah. Like, I don't know how they can top what I had just seen, because like it felt like such a smorgasbord for the eye, to the point where like if it got more visually dense and like amazing to watch, I would just like be having a seizure in my seat. Like it was.
Yeah. So how did the whole time I'm just like, how did people make this? I don't know.
Yeah. It's like there's no, like, this is the culmination of all knowledge of animation is being used in this fucking cartoon right here, and it's amazing. And it's a shame that they had to end it on a cliffhanger, because otherwise it would be like the most flawless,
I know,
amazing animation ever in existence.
There's something that hangs over like a piece that's like, in order to enjoy this, you gotta well, not in order to enjoy it, because obviously like I enjoyed it but like it's not standalone. So you're like, if you want to enjoy this, you got 12-hour commitment or something.
Yeah.
like 9 hours. It's like, oh, okay.
To be fair, no
It's
one
like
complains
if you
about
lose
that
a couple points.
for the Lord of the Rings. I don't know, like at least because Lord of the
I
Rings
kinda
stuck the
do.
landing. But yeah, that's also fair.
It's not a
Acknowledgement
complaint, but
area.
it's keeping me from diving in because I'm like, I know what I'm in store for. I know it's gonna
Right.
take some time to get through it. So I'm not like, now is not the time. I have to wait for the sweet spot where I'm like, okay, I have all this time to spend watching these movies.
Yeah, you can't just like sit down and like someone's like, hey, what if we threw on Lord of the Rings? It's like, no, you got to make a day of it, you know? Where I'm just gonna put on the fucking Two Towers and we're all gonna go home? No, like we're gonna have.
Speaking of watching a big series with your friends, we finished Twilight.
Oh yes.
It was very fun. I think the last one was the best one, in my opinion.
Amazing. That's what you hope for.
Yeah, it was great. Michael Sheen is the MVP of the whole series.
He always brings it.
Well, I mean, just like I know some of the other people in it can act, so I'm blaming the direction. I'm blaming the writing, blaming the editing.
Yeah. Even if you're in a
'Cause
bad
I've seen-
movie.
I mean, I've seen great actors do a seemingly terrible job because they're working in a trash movie, and that's kind of what I
Yeah.
think is happening here. So I've seen Robert Pattinson act; he can act.
You
I've
can
seen
act
a lot
like
of
a
the people
motherfucker.
act, and they can act. Kristen Stewart's not even bad.
Oh, she's great.
But
when
the
she's
movie
good.
is so bad, and everybody just feels so like if a mannequin was acting. Like there's just like nothing. Like, there's just no. Everybody's just rigid and like lifeless, and it's just. But Michael Sheen somehow breaks through all of this and just gives a hell of a performance. He just like leans into this character. He's probably doing things that the directors were like, "Oh, that was a good idea." Like I imagine. Great job. He wins the award.
Great
for that
job.
movie. And next we didn't even pitch it, but we're very on board. But our friend Jenna was like, "What if we did Fast and Furious next?" Because her and Drew haven't seen most of them. And me and Morgan were both like, "Fuck you!" they're like, "Oh no, did we make a mistake by suggesting this?" You guys seem too excited about that.
Oh, they're in for a treat.
So that's the
for
next.
a fast treat.
And Furious. Don't forget that part.
Oh, I'll never forget how furious. They should make Fast and the Furiosa, where it's like a Mad Max crossover with, like, Charlize Theron gets teleported into this universe, but she takes the body of Vin Diesel.
I'm not sure those movies would mesh well.
Although
I do have a
Charlize
question for you,
Theron
though.
is already in Fast and the Furious, so it would be a hard
is.
needle to thread.
She always has a weird haircut in each one, so
Except for the latest one.
Furiosa look would fit fine.
They gave her a normal haircut for the most recent one, which felt both like a breath of relief, but also kind of like a betrayal.
So when we agreed that we were going to watch these next, Drew challenged me and he said, "Can you name the titles of all the movies?" And I want to challenge you to this now.
Christ, okay.
You might nail it, but
Fast,
start at
the
beginning.
Fast and the Furious.
Correct.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Correct.
The Fast and the Furious 3 Tokyo Drift.
Correct.
I want to say 4 is just Fast and Furious.
Correct. That's a
5
hard one. You got.
is, I think, Furious 5.
No, I'm sorry.
Fast and Furious
you're very
5.
Close. No, it's Fast
5. What did I say? Furious 5? I meant to say Fast 5.
Furious
Son
5.
of a bee
Yeah,
sting.
it was a 50-50 shot, and you.
I meant to
got it
say
wrong.
Fast 5. I knew that one.
won't get that point.
6 is the Fast and the Furious 6.
I'm gonna have to refer to the chat as judges. It's Fast and Furious 6. There is no the, and you've been very correct about all of the ones that have the and the ones that don't have the previously.
I have been emphasizing the.
Should we give him a half point? What do you guys think? I don't know.
It's just Fast and Furious 6.
We'll give you a half point. It's just Fast
Okay.
and Furious 6. All right, next.
That might as well be a different series. It basically is a different series. Anyways, 7 is the I know 8. 7 is Furious 7.
Bingo. Wow.
Okay.
Well done.
8 is Fate of the Furious.
It's the Fate of the Furious, but I'm gonna give you a full point on that one.
Okay. 9 is, I'm pretty sure it's Fast 9.
I'm sorry. The answer we were looking for was F9.
Are you kidding me? These fucking guys. And then 10 is Fast X.
Yep. So that like puts you in at, I believe, 7.5 points, which is pretty good for 10 movies.
Okay.
Not a lot of misses there. Well done.
And a lot of them were like technicalities of like no down boo overs of like
Yeah.
you know, Fast and Furious 6.
But they just don't care about any kind of consistency.
Nope.
Well, I mean,
Sometimes,
I guess that's a thing. That's true about the series in whole.
They don't care about
consistency. Is not important.
Yeah, it's not about the continuity. It's about the vroom vroom.
It's about winning the race. You know, it's not about how close you came.
That's right. It's about shifting to another gear and going even faster.
That's right. So, the games I've been playing. Final Fantasy. I'm in the middle of that. Right. I've talked about it a little bit before. Honestly, I haven't played it in a long time. Last time I played it, I think I talked about it. So I don't have too much new stuff to say. I know it's been a long time, but like basically my opinions were combat's fun. It looks great. It's weirdly like a dating sim. This first one. Like so much of it is like, oh, are you more interested in Tifa, Eris, or what's her name?
Jenny from the block.
She didn't have a lot going on. Like she didn't have much.
She dies in like 50 minutes in the first game.
They give her a lot in this one. I can't remember her name. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
before they smush her.
That's a big part of it, and like to the point where it's like. So forgive me for like the way I like describe it because it's gonna make it sound a little worse than it is because it is a pretty good game so far. But like it's like you're going on a date with Tifa. What should she wear? Option 1, option 2, or option 3? Like that kind of stuff. It's like okay,
right. So it's like a dating sim. It's
doing.
Also you're playing dress up.
Yeah. There's no narrator that says like you're going on a date, but you get the idea. Like you are going on a date with Tifa and you get to pick what she wears, and it's like. I know what they're doing. I know who they're appealing to, and it feels weird. But
yeah,
you know,
this feels very male gazy.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, it's directly for the specific crowd of people that played Final Fantasy VII and had an awakening, and then they've been
chasing those polygon titties
characters for the last like couple decades.
Yeah, the Yakuza series has a lot of that too, and it's like if you want to get all of the like because like in Yakuza there's like dating sim, like there's like a dating sim in each of the games, and if you want to get, sometimes it can be like combat boosts and stuff like that, so if you want to fight the best, you kind of got to do the dating sim, and it's just like, okay, so I have to like replay this date like 5 times and then get all of the right answers. I just look up the answers because I don't care. I don't.
That's annoying.
It's a little annoying, but it's still fun. Like the dating sim is not fun, but the overall game. But and like the writing is fine, where it's like, at least the writing is charming enough in the Yakuza games, where when you're finished with the dating sim aspect of it, like the writing that's been in it hasn't been like the worst. It's been fine. But it's also like, it's worth noting that like the dating sim that characters that you date, especially in like the Kiwami games, like they're modeled after Japanese porn stars. So it's like,
oh really?
It's even more apparent like what they're doing. I'm
not inherently like, oh sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead, please. I don't know where
I'm not inherently like anti romance options, dating sim stuff in video games when it's done in a fun way. Like I think it can make, like, it can add interesting stuff to the story if it doesn't just feel like gratuitously.
You
like,
play a lot of Stardew Valley. You've done your fair share of romancing a couple of polygons or pixels, you know?
That's true. Also, right now, me and Austin Zone Dog have been playing Baldur's Gate, and it's been this big point of the game that he's going after one character, I'm going after a different one, and we're like seeing who's more successful, and we're both failing. We're near the end of the game. This game's like known for like, oh, all these characters want to like hook up with you. It constantly happens, and we both are virgins still. we're trying so hard. We're like making all these choices. Like I straight up like joined a religion in the game to try to get to like romance this character, and I still have not been successful. In the latest time we played, Austin's character, who it seemed like he was starting to make progress with, and I was worried I was going to lose. Somebody asked him like, "Oh, is this your boyfriend?" And while he's standing there, and she's like, "Oh, no. And he's like, "Oh."
Oof.
It was very, very fun to see that happen to him.
Rejected hard.
Yeah. But so I don't know. It can be fun if the writing's good enough and it actually feels like it's progressing the story. It doesn't just feel like a gratuitous like it's feeding the like Rule 34 people that are also playing the game.
Yeah, and Yakuza.
Like, I don't hate that.
There's so much to do in the Yakuza series. Is it doesn't feel so much like hey, this is for the lonely, like this is for the hikikomoris, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel so much like that. It just feels like just another like it feels like they were like throw everything at the wall. Karaoke, mahjong, massage minigame, dating sim, fuck it, why not? It just feels like another thing that you can do in the game. So it doesn't feel but like in Final Fantasy, I feel like it's like a very specific kind of game. It's an RPG action game for, you know, for 7 now, it's like an action game. So it's like you got this one kind of game, and then I don't know how many other mini games there are, but if a significant portion of the game is that dating sim, it does feel like a sort of, if it feels like it has a particular weighted effect.
It also feels weird because it's a remake, and the original did not lean that hard into that. So now it feels like a fan service to a specific group of fans.
Yeah. People who have been growing up being like, man, fuck it.
Wasn't Tifa hot?
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. And it's also weird because, like, I don't know if it, because I've heard some things. I was informed about some plot points that come up in the remakes that differ from the original and like why they are the way they are. And they're making some big story changes in some ways, and I'm okay with that. So I'm having to wonder if like in the first game, in the original, one of the characters who I think you're talking about, who you romance in the remake, in the first game, she gets mashed by a giant disc like 50 minutes into the game. That's Tifa. Hot. Man, I get why everybody's good, you know. So. You can't see, but I'm touching myself below the monitor. Oh no. But anyways, she gets mashed to bits by a giant disc like 50 minutes into the original game, and now she's like a dating sim companion. And it's like, okay, so is she still gonna get mashed to bits? Like, isn't that kind of gonna put a big goal? It was Jessie was the girl that I'm talking Jessie.
about. I don't know if that's
that may have been the name I said. If that's the name I said, that's weird and I don't get it. But
no, you said Jenny on the block.
Jenny on the block, thank God. Okay.
No, it's Jessie in the slums.
Jessie in the Jessie from the ghetto. I think they are actually just the slums. I think that's what they're referred to, the Midgar slums.
But it's so far it's a fun game. I'm excited for the next one. It feels like the first one is like a. And I think I have a ways to go in it, so I maybe shouldn't have too many opinions yet. But it feels like it's meant to whet your appetite and be like, look how this looks. It's all the nostalgia, you know. The combat's pretty fun, and just wait till we get to the real meat and potatoes in the next game. This is to hold you over until that one comes out, and that's the one that's coming out. So that's kind of what the vibe I get.
Okay.
I don't know if people would agree, but I haven't played enough of it yet to really. But I don't know, it's fun. I'm excited to play more.
They better bring back the dolphin minigame from the original. You ride a dolphin and you have to like jump. a certain height, if I remember correctly. I know you ride a damn dolphin, and you jump on it.
Can't wait to see all the Final Fantasy has gone woke. They made Cloud a girl.
Didn't that already happen though?
Yeah, but that won't matter. Okay. I don't think.
Oh well, yeah, no, people.
You're using logic here.
That's true. I'm using logic against the unlogicked. Yeah, the thing is, what intrigues me is that I remember playing through Final Fantasy VII, and there just being a bunch of like mini games that were like a whole different, like there was like an RTS mini game you could play. There was the dolphin jumping mini game. There was like the chocobo racing. There was like 3 different mini games on Golden Saucer. Like I remember there being a bunch of like side content in Final Fantasy VII that was like, it would have like there was like a snowboarding mini game, like for a race, like a snowboard race. There was just like a whole bunch of like different gameplay mechanic mini games in 7, and I'm curious, like in the remake, are they bringing those back? How many of them, like, you know?
I think they will. I imagine there'll be a lot of that kind of stuff because a lot of what this first game is, they took this small part of the game and like build it up with a bunch of stuff. It has a lot of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of just like, I mean, the portion of the game that you're playing that is a full game was what, like an hour and a half in the first one?
True, yeah.
So they've already done a lot of that, like filling it up with different stuff.
Fair. And I guess, you know, you could say that like the first part, whatever we're going to call the first game, because it's not a full game, it's like a part of the game. But that's kind of like how maybe it's like a test of the engine. So it's like, hey, now we've learned the engine in this first game, and now the second game we can add all of this stuff to it because we're already familiar with the engine. We know, like, you know, there's a lot of games where it's like they'll make a game in an engine they've built, and then the next game is where they add all of these like extra enhancements and stuff like that because they're so familiar with the engine from the first game. I can see that being the case for this as well.
So we'll see. I mean, I still have to finish this one to have a full opinion on it, but
yeah,
it seems pretty cool. I don't know.
All right.
It's good.
Really. I gotta tell you about an album I listened to. I don't know if you have more games / movies you want to talk about.
Well, I mean, you go first, because I've been talking.
You've been chit chatting a while. You fucking hogging the conversation hog.
I've been hogging.
You've been hogging it up.
It's your turn to hog.
I'll go whole hog in this conversation. Anyways, I've been listening. There's an album that came out recently, and I'm a fan. I feel bad calling them an animator because I've seen them mostly make a lot of music lately, but they are an animator. They have created animations, but their name is Louis Zong, and they've been putting out a lot of music lately. And they just dropped an album on, I want to say Friday, potentially Saturday, but I'm gonna say Friday. Called Rat Taxi.
Love the name.
And then the image on it, it's like this cool 3D render of like a rat taxi cab driver hanging outside his taxi cab. And the description for the album on the YouTube video is the soundtrack for a night where you're a rat who drives a taxi.
I like just how straightforward that is.
Yeah, and it's a sick album. It's like I really like it. I'm a big fan of the album. It kind of feels like it's like you've got the Dark Souls character slider, you know, and the slider, each song is like the slider is either one end, like kind of like different variations of like one end or the other. Of like one end of the slider is Ocean's 11 like sound, like the soundtrack for a proper Ocean's 11 sequel, and then the other end of the slider is like Jet Set Radio sort of soundtrack, and the slider is like somewhere in the middle of those two, and I love both of those vibes, so that's great. And it's a great album. I highly recommend Rat Taxi. It's on the Spotify's. It's on the Bandcamps. It's on the YouTubes.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it's great. I've listened to it about 3 times since it released, and I'm a fan. I am a fan of Rat Taxi. I sent you a song / animation from the same person earlier.
Okay, awesome.
We were talking about.
Oh, you did already. My bad.
Yeah, we were talking about. We were playing like that really milquetoast Saints Row game, and
yeah,
we were talking about. You were talking about how DMX did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh,
and then
right.
I sent you Silent Night by the Toad Choir, where it's like toads from Mario. I don't know if you ended up watching that video or not, but
I did. I remember now. It's all
Okay.
coming back to me.
yeah, it's by that same guy.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But he made Rat Taxi, and I'm a big fan of Rat Taxi. It's a good album.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so I highly recommend. Again, feels like Ocean's 11. Feels like a little bit of Jet Set Radio. And I'm a fan of both. I mean, Ocean's 11 and 12 and 13 are some of my favorite movie soundtracks. And since it reminds me of that vibe, I'm gonna fucking like the album.
I should rewatch those. It's been a while. I haven't seen 13 ever, but
Really interesting. We were talking to another Ian last week
yeah.
about some of the Ocean's movies, and he's quite the fan of Ocean's 12, and
He's a big fan. It turns out
he's a big fan of Ocean's 12, which is a shame. And I'm a big fan of the Ocean's trilogy in general, especially the soundtracks. But I am not as big of a fan of Ocean's 12 as the other Ian is. I didn't want to like
Unbelievable.
poop on his parade when we were like, we were vibing over liking the Ocean's soundtracks, but I'm just bugged that like half the movie you watch is pointless. That's the only thing that bugs me about Ocean's 12 is I don't know if you remember the plot twist of Ocean's 12.
I don't.
I'll just simplify it, but basically the plot twist of Ocean's 12 is that the actual heist happened like halfway through the movie, and then the rest of the movie you're watching is just a big old misdirect. But like the actual heist happened, and they've had like the treasure for like half the movie, and it's like, you fucking wasted my time.
You don't like to be surprised.
I don't like
demand, you want your info. And
I
you
don't
want it
like
to be
my
accurate.
time being wasted. Like, you lied to me, movie. There's no character. Like, if it's sort of like, okay, so I really liked the new Knives Out movie, I thought that was great, but it does kind of annoy me just a little bit that they were lying to us for like half the movie.
You wish you could solve it on your own, right?
No, I'm just, they lied. They lied to you. I don't know how else to...
You don't get the full picture until later. Like,
no, it's not even that. It's that you have
they lie,
one,
like they like roll some info back that they give you.
They tell you there's one, like, you watch the entire movie thinking like, okay, they've told me one version of the picture, and then halfway, like, towards the end of the movie, they're like, by the way, we lied, and actually the picture that we gave you of the movie is incorrect, and now we're telling you the proper information. And I'm like, okay, you fucking lied to me.
But everything you saw happened, right? It's just you're missing a big chunk of the picture.
Yes, but they're
fair.
But they'll like it's like they'll cut away. Like, a character will like have a conversation with somebody, and the camera just happens to cut in 2 seconds after they say, okay, so you're this fake person and I'm this fake person, right? And we're faking things. And then the camera will come in, and then they'll start describing their plans. But we missed the split second beforehand where they're like, we're faking this shit. And then like the end of the movie, they'll be like, ha ha ha, guess what? And then they'll go back to that scene, and then they'll show 2 seconds earlier, and they're like, we're faking this shit, right? And then you're like, okay, so you lied to me. is what it is.
I love that you describe it that way. I get what you're saying, but it's funny that you said they lied to you. It'd be one thing if they were like, by the way, that scene that you saw, that didn't actually happen. Here's what happened. And
Yes.
that's kind of what they're doing, but
That is
but
kind of, that
everything
is, that
not
is.
exactly.
It's pretty much exactly. It's almost the same. It's like people say lying by omission is still lying. This is the same thing.
Sure, but but you're saying it from a narrative standpoint. You're like, hey,
Yeah. It's
you
not like
didn't tell me the whole story.
you specifically like cherry picked split seconds from moments and then drop them in there to give me a whole different idea. It's okay. In Zombieland, for instance, this always bugged me about the movie Zombieland. Is Woody Harrelson's talking about like, oh yeah, you know, I used to have this thing I loved and it got killed in the zombie apocalypse. And then they show a flashback and it's Woody Harrelson and he's hanging out with a puppy. And you're like, oh, Woody Harrelson lost a puppy. And then like later on in the movie, he's like, no, but really. And then they do the same flashback, but instead of a puppy, it's a human kid. And you're like, oh, you fucking lied to me.
I don't think. Okay. But in that one, he says it was his puppy.
Right. But they don't have to give
time.
A flashback. If you're going to give me a flashback.
Interpret that as the characters he's telling the story to, like picturing the thing he's describing.
But they are lying to us. It's a lie.
Woody Harrelson's character lied to you and the group.
That's right. But the thing is, the movie is not being, the movie's being told, I guess, from Jesse Eisenberg's perspective, right? So you could argue the flashback is Jesse Eisenberg's imagination.
Like he's picturing the story he's being told.
But they are fucking lying to you. It's a lie. They're still using the flashback to lie, and that bugs me. I don't like that. Like, don't show me the flashback. Don't bring new visuals into it. Like, if you're gonna like bring in new information, don't show me the exact same flashback. But it's, I don't know. I have a lot of really very specific rules when it comes to my fiction.
with movies doing some weird stuff, like doing some like unexpected storytelling and weird like narrative stuff, just because I feel like I've seen it all. So I'm like, yeah, go ahead, do some weird unexpected things, just because.
Let me tell you this. When in Pulp Fiction, okay, Samuel Jackson, spoiler alert for Pulp Fiction, John Travolta is dead. Okay, he got shot to death on the shitter. In the very first scene, it's actually after John Travolta is dead. Now Samuel Jackson is by himself in the diner that gets held up by like the Bonnie and Clyde type characters. Yeah. Now, we don't know that John Travolta is dead by this point, but they don't show us John Travolta. They don't give us any inkling that John Travolta is alive. We just don't know he's dead yet. All of Pulp Fiction plays through in its non-chronological order. They never once lie to you that John Travolta is alive. Like, when John Travolta's dead, the picture becomes clear, but it's not because they showed us a sequence of events, and then they're like, by the way, we're going to show you that sequence of events, but now we're going to tell you the truth. No. They play it. They don't lie. It's annoying when they lie. You just hate
that they, you felt like the movie was your friend. You felt like you could trust it, and then you found out.
Yes, a little bit, but also there's a way to present information without. Another example of this is the game Heavy Rain, which.
That movie. Okay, this one I'm going to agree with you. This one's dumb. This one is straight up a lie. This one's like
straight up a lie.
It's not that you missed some context or the camera cut away at the right time. They just straight
up. It did though. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but you hear the murderer's inner monologue.
Yes.
And it's not accurate.
Yes. So that
was
agree.
Straight up a lie.
Heavy Rain is the worst of it.
Playing in character.
Heavy
other
Rain's
ones
the
are
worst
just an example of like you could say you're tunnel vision. You're missing all this stuff intentionally. They're cutting things out that you would reveal the answer immediately if you'd seen everything right from the beginning. Heavy Rain just straight up just gives you false information.
Yes. And so do movies, but they do it differently. So just for the people who maybe haven't seen the 4-hour video I cut together of Heavy Rain, and Heavy
What
Rain.
are they doing if they haven't?
I know,
They're
right?
missing out.
Are you even a fan if you haven't watched my 4-hour cut? I know Lotus Clocks watched it.
It's a great video.
Thank you. I mean, I can only take so much credit. Matt did a great job. But anyways, in Heavy Rain, there is a detective character who it turns out he's the murderer, but they'll like have sequences where like you'll hear the detective's inner monologue and he's like, boy, I can't wait to find that murderer. And it's like, you're the murderer. You're lying to us in your thoughts. But also there's a very specific scene where you're the detective character and then there's like this prostitute character who's in a clock typewriter antique shop, and there's a guy in the shop and he's alive for one moment, and then they cut to the prostitute just like staring at a little tiny dancer music box thingy, and during that period of time it's revealed later that the detective guy murders the owner of the antique shop, but they just cut to the prostitute's face for like a few seconds as she's acting weird about this music box. Anyways, the reveal at the end of the game is, oh, the detective's been the murderer the whole time. And it's like, okay, but he has lied to us in his thoughts. And also, they straight up cut away from him for literally 5 seconds maximum. And he commits a murder and then pretends to like come upon it. Oh, I found the murder. And they straight up lie to you. This one is the most egregious example I think I've ever seen, is where like
I
the
can
detectives...
totally live with them not giving you information until they feel like it's time. I can live with that kind of line. I can't live with the like they straight up just gave you false information. Like the thing, he wouldn't be thinking those things, you know, he wouldn't be acting the way he's acting. They just give you bad information. That's a whole different, like that annoyed me.
That's the worst example. We can at least agree that Heavy Rain's example is the most egregious example. I've already complained about them lying and the other things. Whether or not you consider it lying is up to you. I don't like it. I have very specific rules about whether you can lie to me in a movie and whether your musical is pointless or not.
It's all right. I love to hear it. I like picking your brain on this stuff. It's interesting to me. But yeah, no, I think I'm okay with like unreliable narrators. I'm okay with
and like for instance,
storytelling that leaves out a lot of context. I'm okay with like non-chronological stuff. I'm okay with all that if it feels like, if the payoff feels you know,
and you know me, Fight Club's my favorite movie. That movie fucking lies to you left and right. But you know, I don't hate about Fight Club is I don't feel like I got lied to. I feel like I am privy to the thoughts of a person who is losing it, and I'm watching
unreliable narrator.
It's an unreliable narrator, but it's not like this, because like, okay, Zombieland is told, I guess, from Jesse Eisenberg's perspective. You could argue that Zombieland didn't quite lie to you as much. You're seeing Jesse Eisenberg's perspective on things. So when Woody Harrelson's character lies about the loss that he's feeling, you could argue that it's Jesse Eisenberg imagining Woody Harrelson playing around with a dog. I'll accept that, but I still hate it.
You're allowed to hate it. That's fair.
I still hate it. But I do feel like Ocean's 12 lies to you because everyone's acting like, oh my god, like even like the conversations maybe I should watch again and with like the context, and maybe I'll find out that the conversations they're all having with each other makes it seem like, oh, they totally actually do have the item already and they're just playing a part. I can't tell. I haven't seen the movie in a while, but
yeah, I might rewatch those.
It feels like they lied.
Fair enough. They betrayed your trust.
Yeah. Zombieland lied.
It's understood.
Yeah, I don't know. Zombieland feels like they lied more so than Fight Club feels like it lied. And it's
Fight Club,
just,
I think it works like you said, because I mean, you're straight up, the whole thing is from his perspective and he's nuts. He's like he's the narrator too. Like he's giving you all the information you have. So the fact that it's jumbled and it messed up at the end that's fair.
Yeah, and you're not privy to anything. Like, okay, so I guess here's my in Fight Club, as far as I can remember, you're not privy to any scenes that the main character, the narrator, is not experiencing. Like you don't get to see like one of the space monkeys that signs up for Operation Project Mayhem. You don't get to see them out doing something that the main character isn't like able to witness. You know what I mean? Like everything we see is either what the narrator is seeing or it's what Tyler Durden is seeing. And spoiler alert, the narrator is Tyler Durden.
What?
So what? But like Zombieland, like you'll have moments where Woody Harrelson is off doing a thing and the main Jesse Eisenberg's character isn't there to see it. So it's like, how are we seeing, like I guess we're actually watching this through an omniscient third person narrator.
Yeah, I think the wiggle room I'll give him is I think it might not be fully Jesse Eisenberg's like point of view. I think maybe just in that moment you're seeing him.
They lied to me, Brandon. Sorry, I'm gonna get off this horse. I'm done ranting. I've said
let it be known, Ian wants a film with no music. It can't have music in it.
Wait, hold on.
It needs. Let me finish. This film can't have music, and the story needs to be predictable, and it needs to be straightforward. It needs to tell you. It needs to really explain everything, every beat of the story. You know?
I feel like I'm being.
If there's any kind of nuance or surprise, or maybe like something with like a non-happy ending, Ian will be writing an angry letter to the studio.
Oh my! Look at my hands, for they are made of straw. Anyways. I have a lot of rules. That's the thing, is if anyone ever gave me like money to make projects, I would make a musical that I feel like is adequate. Like I would love to tackle these like movie genres where I'm like, you fuckers are fucking this up. Let me show you how it's done.
I think it was Lotus Black that mentioned. Oh, no, Z-Newts mentioned SpongeBob SquarePants as a musical.
The movie? Yeah, actually.
Opinions?
One of my favorite songs.
I think the music's good.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs of all time. Definitely one of my favorite Flaming Lips songs is SpongeBob and Patrick Meet the Psychic Wall of Energy, I think is the name of the song.
It's a good one.
It's a great song.
That
one
music's relatively good too, from what I remember.
That one lyric from the Flaming Lips song where he's like, maybe we're just young, but we won't know till we're old. That one hits, man. That one hits me in the feels.
Wait, is it true? Is that true?
Maybe we're just young.
Oh.
And we won't know till we're old. Some kind of wall, some kind of psychic wall. You know the one I'm talking about? You know that song?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah, it's a great song. I love that.
I think it's only in the credits, but it's a good one.
I think so, yeah. Which is a shame. A lot of my favorite songs from movie soundtracks are often on the soundtrack CD, but not in the actual movie, or just credits fodder.
Right. Real quick, Double Rocket says, "Hello, I'm here to catch the end." Welcome to the end.
Welcome.
We'll be at it for a little bit longer, but
It's
you're
the
here.
end of the show as we know it. REM.
Let's see what else. Oh yeah, The Forest. I've been playing that.
Yes, tell us about your, because
Me
I've
and Leviathan
completed
Den,
the game.
Great friend of the show. Yeah, that was the only reason we kind of left you out. Is I feel like
I don't
if you
want
were
to
to
like
play it
ruin
again
it.
now, if you were to play it again now, I feel like you'd be like 2 eyes on the prize because of what you know.
Yes, I
It
very
wouldn't
much would.
feel.
Yeah.
But when we get to Sons of the Forest, maybe we'll have to play that one with you if you're interested.
I mean, if you guys ever want me to join you, like, here's the thing. When I know that I have knowledge ahead of time of what we're going to experience, I try and make sure that, like, I don't pipe up unless it's, like, we're, like, immediate survival is, like, necessary.
Mm-hmm.
How successful I am at doing this, you know, that remains to be seen. But, like, if I were to play your guys' Forest file with you, I would probably try I'd probably be like, let's go to the caves, but I wouldn't. You know what? I don't know. I feel like I would just try to make sure that we're not getting our shit wrecked in a frustrating manner. But I don't know. I can't say how accurate.
We have a
that
good
is.
system. So they've added a lot. The game has been updated a lot since you and I played it.
Yes.
I know you probably played it, but there is a setting now where you can turn off base destruction. We did that,
yes.
And life is great. That's all I needed. Now I'm thriving. They come rapping at our door every so often, and we
rapping.
hide from them, or we have to fight them off. But they can't just demolish our base. We have a place to hide. It's good. I'm enjoying it, even if I guess there's no right or wrong way to play something if you're having fun. But yeah, I'm enjoying that way of playing it personally.
What I can tell you though is you're playing it the right way. No. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, so we basically spent the first couple play sessions just building a base. We got it all set up how we like it, and now we've been exploring a lot. We started spelunking and stuff like that, and I think
Gotcha.
I can't speak for. I don't want answers either, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I feel like we found like the best cave we could have first, because we got flashlights and a katana right off the bat, and I just feel like a new man now. I went from being scared to being like, "Come at me, bro."
Yeah, I won't give anything away. I will just say, I don't know how much I should say.
Don't really spoil anything. I mean, you could talk about your feelings in the game, but I don't want to know. Like,
what I have to add, I think I've already told you, which is just that I do feel like once me and the gang that I ended up beating the game with, once we started exploring the caves, I realized that like the base building in the game isn't strictly necessary. Like, it's nice to have like a bed to sleep at and save at, and like a place to dry your meat and stuff like that, but like
I need a place to dry my meat at the end of the day.
I gotta dry my fucking meat, you know what I mean? But like, if you start spelunking the caves, like you can pretty much spelunk the caves straight through and then like beat the game without having to do much of the base building, because like the progression really happens in the spelunking. That's the most I'll say.
Yeah, I believe all that. I'm enjoying taking our time though.
Yeah,
and just like slowly. I'm not trying to race through it. I'm just trying to. Not that you were either, but yeah. So I like to do stuff when it feels right, and now we're like starting to explore a little bit and finding some cool stuff and building the base up even more. And I'm mainly just there for the zip line, but it's good. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to see the next one at some point.
Me too.
Might take a little break after we beat this one, but
that's fair. You're playing multiple survival games.
I am.
You're playing Power World. You're playing The Forest.
That's right. I'm kind of, okay. So we have a server right now, and some of the people watching are on the server with us. But to be honest,
for Power World or for The Forest?
For Power World.
Okay.
I guess both if Leviathan does here. But I'm kind of like losing steam on Power World. It's surprisingly like decent for what it is. They've done a lot of cool stuff. I enjoyed what I played, but it's early access, and I'm kind of reaching the point where I'm like, okay, not much left for me here right now. They might. I hope they add more. I mean, that'd be super cool. But as it stands, I feel like I've kind of done most of what I'm interested in it for the time being. There's still like, I think it'd be fun to, a lot of like bosses and tough monsters and stuff. That might be fun to like try to go around and take those out. But other than that, I'm kind of like running out of things to do to keep my interest. So yeah, I haven't played it so much in a minute.
That's fair. So like Power World, they've been talking about like what they're planning on adding to the game now that it's made them like almost billionaires, or like half billionaires or whatever. And they are talking about adding like more islands, kind of like how Pokemon has like different islands and stuff. That sounds cool. The stuff that they've talked about adding to the game seems very cool and intriguing. But it is a matter of how soon will they get it in, because like, Valheim, you know, Valheim's a fun game, but it is like every year and a half is when you finally get like a content update for it.
Yeah. So it might be a while. And I think they have a good like basis, and whatever they add will be cool. And I'll probably come back to it one day, but I'm getting near the end of where I'm interested for the time being.
You've hit the end of your
But
rope.
yeah, that's right. So my pals will just have to rot.
Just like my Neopets.
It's like anytime I like come back to like an Animal Crossing town, like after years, they're just like, Jesus, where have you been? Yeah. Bubble Rocket says, I'm kind of interested in the forest. It's creepy, right? Yes, it's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy body horror. I will say,
I don't want to spoil too much of what is in it, because that is part of, I think, what makes it scary is things ramp up a little bit. The things you run into ramp up a little bit. So at first it seems less scary than it becomes as you see more things.
Yeah, I don't want to give away much else. I hope that what I've given you in terms of the forest is not
Giving
too
me
much.
a real gift.
But I'm excited for you guys to progress in the game.
We're gonna find Timmy.
That's right.
We're gonna bring Timmy home. We're co-dads, and we're raising Timmy together. And unfortunately, we've been building a base for days instead of going to find him. But
Going to find Timmy. Yeah.
we didn't raise no slouch. He's probably fine out there. We're gonna find him. He'll be all right.
I will say,
He's learning about new cultures.
I feel like the game doesn't get much scarier than like when you first find that one Polaroid of the one monster. Like okay, well, we found it.
We've
before
run into the monstrosity though. We've seen the monstrosity though.
Yeah, I feel like the game doesn't get much scarier than. I know we've come in, like we've explored like the weird little ship that's like abandoned, and then you find a Polaroid that's just a picture of one of the monsters, but it's like a Polaroid, so it looks kind of grainy and out of focus, and you don't know what you're looking at exactly. But I feel like having that Polaroid but not seeing the actual monster is the scariest the game gets. And then after that, it's like, you know, you see Jaws, and it's not as scary as the implication of Jaws.
That part was freaky too, because at that time we thought we were only dealing with human enemies. We didn't know about like the mutants.
Yes.
So you see this little like grainy photo of this weird looking like thing with all these limbs, and you're like, what's this? What is this?
Yeah, and I feel like the game doesn't get, like, they never quite. There was a couple moments where, like, with environmental storytelling, they really kind of make you feel like, ooh, what could be, but nothing ever quite felt like it lived up to that like dread that I felt when I saw that Polaroid, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna see that
some of
thing
the real
someday.
Scary moments aren't so much something narrative anymore. It's more like just things that happen within the world and engine. Like we had one moment where we were running back to camp, and it was dark and we didn't have any lights, so you can pretty much see nothing if you have no lights. And all of a sudden, out of the darkness, a cannibal sprinted right at my face, and it was like at the end of my nose by the time I saw it, and
Oh
I
jeez.
yelled really loud. And that's been something we've been laughing about since it happened. But that scared the shit out of me, and that was just a moment in the game. There was nothing narrative,
Right.
or like scripted.
No, but
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I know I knew it was a good game. It's just been a while, or I just hadn't. We tried to play it the one time, and
got discouraged.
We got very discouraged. And so now I feel like I got it rigged up the way I want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish more games were able to capture that feeling of not like pure terror, but like that dread. Because I consider that a very special moment of dread that it filled me when I saw. It's like when we were playing Void Train and we saw the giant manta ray off in the distance, and we were like, "Oh fuck, that manta ray is gonna be an." I mean, until we found out that the manta ray is actually completely harmless, and it's just like he hangs out. But like thinking that manta ray could become like a thing we have to like attack at some point really filled me with dread. And same with the Polaroid photograph is like the dread of me thinking like I'm gonna have to run into that someday is a very special feeling. And when I think about scary games, I would love for more to like capitalize on that feeling, you know?
Any kind of scary game, movie, book, narrative thing that uses your like anticipation, nails it. I feel like your imagination is better at crafting something that's going to freak you out more than any other writer can do, because obviously you know the things that freak you out. Your brain's going to craft something that is specifically scary to you.
It's like
and so that's why anticipation always works so good and dread works so good, because you're very much like you're crafting the most scary experience you can in your head.
It's like in Barbarian where you see down like the basement tunnels, but you're not quite, you don't know what's down them yet, but you just see like Justin Long or the girl character, I forget her name. You just see them peering down the like basement hallway and know that like, oh, that goes on for a while. I don't know what's down there. That's such an evocative feeling. I feel like that. That's like something really special. I wish more scary things knew how to hold on to that feeling.
Yeah, the ones that know how to use that are definitely doing the most, I think. Like the example I always think of is, what's the movie? Where they're it's like a haunted house they move in. It was like popular. Shit.
The Ring or The Grudge?
I think it was the one that started all the spin-offs of like the Annabelle movies and all that shit.
Oh, The Conjuring.
Conjuring. So there's this scene in the movie where the young girls are in their bedroom and one of them sees something in the corner, and she like, a lot of it, most of it goes to the thing I'm about to say, but a lot of it has to do with like, she has the look on her face, like, great job for that actress, like
right,
her face is just pure horror and then terror, and then you look at the corner and all you see is a shadow. And the other girl can't see it, so the other girl's kind of seeing what you're seeing. You don't, because there's literally nothing there.
Right.
But the one girl is seeing something that is just like the scariest thing she's ever seen in her life, and you're just seeing it. And every time the camera looks at the thing, you just see a shadow. You don't see anything. It's just a dark
like
corner of a room.
In the Blair Witch,
freaked me out.
Yeah, like the Blair Witch ends with a dude staring at a corner, but you don't know why he's like in the corner, and you never see him turn around, but you just know like something's bad, and that's freaky. Like it's effective, and it's not even showing you
in
anything.
your head. You're crafting. You're imagining what they're seeing. So you're creating some image that freaks you out specifically.
Yeah.
And then the reason I use that example is because when you finally see the monster or the ghost, it's kind of dumb looking.
It's the guy with like red face paint on, right? Isn't that The Conjuring, or is that the...
No, that's Insidious.
Insidious, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Conjuring. No, it's like some lady. It's like a witch monster who's like flying around the room, and she's like, and she's like flying around, and it's like, oh, cool.
You know, I thought I'd seen now that I think about it, I don't think I've seen any of the Conjurings. I have seen like 5 parts of the Insidious series. I don't think I've seen The Conjuring though.
It's funny, The Conjuring and Insidious came out relatively around the same time, and they both have the same guy in them.
And so did Sinister. Well, Sinister doesn't have the same guy, yeah.
So easy to mix those up. It's got that same actor in them.
Yeah. What's his name? Patrick Williams or something like that is the guy's name?
I don't know his name. I have to admit, I don't know his name.
He's kind of like generic white guy who
he has. I know his face, but I don't know his name.
I think his name is like Patrick Wilson. I want to say I would bet $5 that his name is Patrick Wilson.
The generic white guy name too.
Very generic white guy name. He's just like, he plays generic white guy who's like, he's like the, oh, I can put my feet in his shoes, white guy. And he's like in a bunch of similar movies like that. But so like Insidious, The Conjuring both came out starring, I'm gonna say his name is Patrick Wilson. I'm just gonna pretend like that's a fact.
It is now.
And then also they came out with Sinister, which is almost the same name as Insidious.
That one came out a while before though, right?
Did it? I feel like Sinister came out around the same time as Insidious and The Conjuring.
Could be wrong, but I think there's a good like 5 to 6 years in between those, if not more.
Let's look it up.
Look it up.
Look it up. Insidious came out. Patrick Wilson was his name. Ho ho.
Well done. Look at that memory. What a head you got on them shoulders.
All right, Insidious was 2010. The Conjuring was 2013. Then Sinister was 2012. So Insidious was first.
Oh.
Conjuring and
Okay, so they
Sinister,
were right at the same time.
But Insidious had
Sinister is pretty creepy.
Sinister, I love the concept of Sinister. It just becomes so shitty once they're like, oh, it's a boogeyman. You know?
Yeah.
Like, the thought of moving into a house and finding a bunch of snuff films in the basement is a great concept for a movie. And like the scene where he watches the snuff films, like and what I love about Sinister is that there's not actually any on-screen gore or violence. Like it's all the implied violence where like if somebody's gonna get hit in the head with an axe, it's the same thing they do in Saw 1. If anyone's gonna get hit in the head with an axe, you'll see the axe swing, you'll see the blood splatter against the wall, but you won't see like a fucking like skull getting caved in by a fucking
Right.
axe, you know? It's like
They really moved past that in the other Saw movies.
Yeah, they went the complete opposite direction. And same with Sinister 2. Sinister 2 is like all the violence is like on screen or whatever. But like what I love about Sinister 1 is that like you watch the snuff films with Ethan Hawke, I believe is the person who's playing the main character. And like none of the like I guess there's the one scene where the people get like their throats cut, but it's not like grotesque. It's just like a blood.
It's very tasteful the way that
It's very understated, you know. It's a lot of people say like real life violence is boring in comparison to movies because it's not so like explosive, and this movie feels like I don't know. I've seen like a YouTube montage of just like the snuff film scenes from Sinister 1, and like the sound design is so creepy. The VHS quality of it is super just like chilling, and the like non what's the word I'm looking for, like the non-grandiose nature of all deaths just makes it like a really unsettling sort of sequence of events that I think is like one of my favorite like horror scenes. Like some of my favorite like handling of horror elements in movies are those snuff film scenes from Sinister, and I love the concept of Sinister. It's just like once they like get to that part where some guy's like on a fucking webcam going like it's a boogeyman, I'm just like fuck, okay.
Yeah, like I'm done.
Yeah,
I thought
his name is
I thought
Bagul.
the musical numbers in Sinister were pretty good though.
The musical numbers, like the Bagul
like
song
the
and dances.
part. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm here to
He's got a
steal
real-
your children and murder your family.
He's got a real voice on him. Is he the Bagul?
He's the Bagul. Yeah.
Well, because that's a meme now for Red Letter Media.
For Red
watchers.
Letter, well, it's because they got it from Sinister, and like that's what bugs me so much is like Sinister is such a good scary movie up until they say the words Bagul, and then it's all out the window. It's just really fucking funny then, but
Yeah.
and like they like go back once they've like heard the name Bagul, and it's like where the actual term ghoul comes from, and then like Ethan Hawke's character goes back and he watches the films again, and you see like a fucking like a dude who looks like he came from the band Korn or Slipknot. He's like staring. He's like, you know, he's like chilling in all the videos, and then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
all right. And like, there's also a scene where
does
like,
a better job.
yeah, there's like a scene where like a bunch of like ghost kids are like hanging out and walking, and like that scene's shot not the worst, but I'm like not as freaked out by ghost kids as I am like I found a bunch of snuff films in my basement, you know, like one is a scarier concept to me than the other, and it's not the ghost kids, you know.
Right.
So yeah, man, what a wasted, squandered potential is Sinister in my opinion. I really love conceptually and vibe-wise that movie up until the reveal, and then I'm just like, oh. Psh. This went from like a 10 to a 2.
One of my favorite horror movie mechanics is when they leave something terrifying in plain sight, but it's very subtle, so you don't notice it right away. Maybe you don't notice it at all. Maybe somebody sitting next to you notices it. But
Yeah.
if you do notice it, it's scarier because it's that it really taps into that feeling of like something scary could be near me and I don't know it. But also it's just like, I don't know, there's something more terrifying about this thing that's there that maybe is hidden. I don't know. Like I've seen some movies that do it and it just like, there's one in Hereditary that still sticks with me where there's this shot where it looks at there's like a shot of like a dark room.
Uh-huh.
And it's not very apparent, but if you spot it, there's this one. I don't want to spoil too much of the movie because I really love that movie and people should watch it.
I haven't seen Hereditary yet. I haven't.
If they like horror movies, I think it's great.
I've heard people say it's like one of the best ones. Sorry, go ahead.
There's this silhouette of just like this woman standing there that you don't notice right away, but if you see it, it's just like the most menacingly like creepy like shadow.
Yeah,
I don't know. That one stuck with me. Maybe I'm talking it up a little bit more than it actually is. Maybe that's just me describing how it made me feel. But I mean, it got me.
The initial visceral reaction it gave you is like probably the most valid of the feel. Like they achieved, and it's like I get that. Like
movies
I
that
agree.
do that well too.
Like it's like when you see like a picture and it's like, see this picture of a woods. Do you see the bobcat in this picture of the woods? And then you're like, what the fuck? And then you look and one of the blobs is clearly a fucking cat.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's a bobcat. I just thought this was a picture of woods. And it both like describes or shows, hey, this is how camouflage for an animal, like this is why its fur coat is makes it the ultimate predator for this environment. And you're also like, fuck, if I was in that shot, I would be scared as fuck that there was a bobcat right there.
I could be so close to a bobcat and I wouldn't even know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen?
That's like literally tapping into a survival mechanism for the human brain. And no, I have not seen the Grudge yet. There's actually a lot of classic. I pretend like I'm such a well-worn traveler of the horror genre, but there are some very.
I don't think The Grudge is that great of a film, but it does have some really creepy imagery. I think they do that part really well. Like there's shots that have stuck with me from the time I originally saw it that still give me the willies. I don't think it's a good movie really, but it's got some scary shots for sure.
Now The Grudge is related in some way to like The Ring, right?
I don't
like
think so. Not like in any kind of
official capacity or something like that. Like
yeah, like I don't think they exist in the same world in any capacity. I think it's just like,
was it by like the same
spiritual
guy?
I think maybe somebody's involved with both of them maybe, or
okay, because I
but
know
no, they're totally different stories.
Because I know like The Grudge, it's like how The Ring is based on Ringu, which is a Japanese horror movie. Like I know that our The Grudge movies are based on also similar Japanese The Grudge movies, and I don't know if maybe that was just the aesthetic for Japanese horror movies at the time, was like the black-haired girl who's like in the white clothes and she's all gross. I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it.
She definitely looks a lot like the Ring girl, but you know, it's a totally different thing.
Okay.
But there's a shot in the beginning where this girl's like, I don't remember why, it's been so long since I've seen it, but she goes into an attic and she has like a lighter and there's like almost no light. And she pops her head up into the attic, and if you're looking for it, you can see the girls right behind her, like right from the beginning that the shot begins. But you don't.
Oh, cool.
Eventually, she pops out, but if you're looking there, she's there, and it's a really creepy looking
That's cool. I
face
like that
she has as she's just sitting there, like about to attack.
I love
like
that stuff.
All the like hidden in plain sight stuff is awesome. I love that in horror.
Have you ever? I'm gonna guess the answer is no, because the way I played it was a very like jerry-rigged sort of process. But have you ever played Fatal Frame? Any of the Fatal Frame games?
I have not.
Okay, because the way I played the first one is when I was like a freshman in college, my buddy, he hooked up a projector he hooked his computer up to one of the projectors in one of like the classrooms, and we would go there like late hours and we would play Fatal Frame 1 off of like an emulator on his computer hooked up to the projector. So we'd like have it projected on like the wall, which is a very cool way to play the game. But those games are super fun. I love conceptually them, and like the fact that they make you like, I don't know if you know the gimmick of the Fatal Frame games, but it's like you have a camera, and in order to fight the ghosts, you have to go into first person mode and like stare at the ghost with the camera as it's like trying to attack you. And like the longer you have the camera on the ghost before taking the photo, like the larger like a attack multiplier you get and stuff like that. So it's like all the ghosts are like really freaky looking, and they're like fucking your vision up, and like they're like wily, so you know they could move, and you'd be like, oh fuck, and lose track of them. And but also like just like the swapping from third person view to first person view is really unnerving sometimes, but it's a very cool series. But anyways, I bring it up because in the second game, it's like you're playing as twin sisters, and so like the one sister is clearly more haunted than the player character's sister. And if you like point the camera at your sister at a specific point in Fatal Frame 2, you can see like ghost hands like sort of like reaching like and grabbing and like sort of like in her presence and stuff, and it's very cool. It's not quite the same as what you're describing, but it reminded me of that. I like that aspect of the fact that it's like there, and you can like, if you point the camera at your sister, you're like, oh fuck.
Right. I like when you're given the tools to like learn something that's not outright like available if you're paying attention to the right stuff. Like I just think that's cool.
I gotta color
it's a risk
logo.
as like a creator, because maybe you don't want to give away that part of the story yet, but if it's subtle enough, you can do a cool thing.
In the terms of Fatal Frame 2, it's really not subtle that she's like haunted. Like it's like almost obvious from the jump that she's gonna get haunted. You know what I mean? But it's still a cool touch that you can like point the camera. Like there's like a specific point where she's not haunted, and then there's a point where she is haunted, and you have like that window of time to like point the camera at her and be like, oh fuck. If you can figure it, it'd be cool to like figure out. I mean, it's just like based on getting a PlayStation 1 emulator that works and then downloading the proper ROM. But like Fatal Frame 1, highly recommend. It's a great game, very completable for like a newbie. Like it's not like a Resident Evil game where it's like every save file is kind of like a crapshoot if you're gonna beat it or not. You know, at least the classic Resident Evils of like that time period. But Fatal Frame is a very cool game that I at least the first one, I haven't played any beyond the first one, and like a little bit of 2, but highly recommend. They're really cool. Conceptually, they're very cool too, because like the storyline I think is actually very intriguing. The storyline is like you're in this mansion, it's been abandoned a long time ago, and then like as you progress through the mansion and like you meet these ghosts, and like as you like explore more rooms in the mansion, you find out like they were just doing these fucked up occult worships that involved like human sacrifices and like suffering and torture and stuff like that in this mansion. That's actually a genre of mine that I'm a big fan of, and it's like very tropey. And so for somebody who's like always complaining about tropes, it's kind of ironic that like this hits a
tropes
niche.
Are inherently bad.
Yeah, and so these are tropes that
They're
I like.
bad if it's lazy.
But like Fatal Frame 1, the suffering, and if you gave me enough time, I could tell you about like 3 more games like this. But I love like the kind of horror game where it's like you're in this place, and just as you progress further in this place, you learn like, oh, a bunch of fucked up shit happened in this place, and that's why all this fucked up shit that's happening to me is happening. And I love that. That's like a fun niche, because I think it's kind of scary to just be in a place that seems normal and there's actually like all this horrible history lying under the surface.
Yeah, that is a cool.
I think that's effective, because I think, you know, it's not like ghosts. It's kind of hard for me to be afraid of ghosts in general, just because I'm just like, yeah, ghosts. Sure, I'm scared of them in this game, but the moment I, you know, press escape and I go back to my normal life, I'm not gonna run into a ghost, but like I don't know where I'm gonna be, but I could be standing on like a burial ground right now, as far as I know. I don't know.
I think the more you can like get people to internalize and like reflect on their own fears, the more successful you're gonna be. So if you can like hit on something like you're describing, like this place that seems normal but it's scary, like that makes people immediately go, oh, my place, my home seems normal. Is this scary here? Like
Yeah,
that
exactly.
kind of stuff. Or like if you're point at a dark corner and say there's a monster there, the person's gonna be like, oh, I wonder what that monster looks like. Does it look like my scariest idea of what a monster could look like? Now I'm scared. Like it's like anytime you use somebody's own imagination to craft the horror, you can have some really good results. At least for me, like that's when I feel the most freaked out.
I think that's why It Follows was such an effective movie. And I heard somebody describe it. I heard somebody describing It Follows to somebody else in like some video where like the other person who it was being described to was just not like catching on to like the scariness of the concept, but it's like they're like, oh, so somebody's walking towards you slowly, that's what's scaring you. It was a Conan O'Brien thing on his like podcast. He's talking about It Follows, but it's like the scariest thing is like somebody walking towards you slowly, but it's like no, but it's like you might not know that it's like that paranoia it instills in you of like this person could reach me, and if they touch me, then like that's it. I'm literally fucked to death.
There's a million you get fucked it up. There's a million shots in that movie where they're in a public place, and so there's people walking around, and the horror could be any of them. There's so many people walking towards them at different times in the movie that aren't the monster. So you're just kind of always like thinking about it, and also like the unrelentless likeness. It's always coming for you. It's walking. It's never from somewhere.
Stop. It's
walking. It's coming.
It's not gonna divert. It's not gonna stop off at McDonald's and be like, oh, let me get a pup cup. It's like
it's kind of like the fear of like the old shambling zombies. Like one zombie is not really that scary because it's like basically a corpse. It's like dead already. It's like can't barely move. But the fact that there's an endless supply of them and they're always coming for you, and one of these times they're gonna get to you or something like it's just
you just gotta fuck up once.
The fear of it's the fear of that it's never ending. Like that's kind of the thing.
The unrelentingness, of it. One of my favorite shots from It Follows is like before you've actually like learned what the danger is, but like I remember I was watching It Follows for the first time with Ryan, my ex at the time, and she and I were both watching, and like we're trying to figure out what, like this is when the movie's pretty fresh, so we haven't actually the discussions weren't as frequent with people about who have seen it. So we've just heard, oh, It Follows, it's supposed to be good. And so we're like watching, and there's like a scene where they're just playing like ambient music from Disaster Piece, which is the name of the guy who made the music, or his artist name or his moniker, I guess, whatever. Anyways, but they're like on a date, and there's just ambient music playing, and just subtly, it's like very subtle. But like they're talking and like they're in a booth in a restaurant, and outside the window you can just see like a dude whose face you can't make out, but he's just like slowly walking towards the window, and they haven't even revealed yet that you're supposed to be afraid of people who are walking towards you slowly, but something about the framing of the shot and like the guy's like just casual walking towards the window, like I remember seeing that and being like, I don't fucking like that. Like
he's walking like as the crow flies, just like directly towards the camera.
And they haven't even like, this is before in the movie they even like told you like, oh, this monster just walks towards you slowly, but it's just like the way the shot is framed, the vibe of the shot, and like just the like facelessness of the person, and the way he just seems so, I don't know, it's like
I gotta
a
watch that
mindless
movie
walk.
again.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a good movie. I that movie made me paranoid for at least 2 weeks. After I watched it, I would just like turn my shoulder and be like, is everyone fucking walking towards me very slowly? Like, I don't know why.
And famously, the tall man was just a horrifying shot. It was just so like, there's no way you could prepare yourself for it.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, something about like just the fact that like you could be in a crowded place and then you turn around and there it is, and it's just like a person walking towards you slowly. It just made me like check over my shoulder constantly. It was great.
Yeah, it is very like the comparison to zombies is very in line with that because like
Yeah.
it doesn't run at you. So if you see it, if you know, oh, that's the monster, you can get away from it. But you don't know
And
where
you
it's
have to
coming
like
from, what it looks like. You don't know which is who.
and once they like sort of show you in the movie that like other people don't even see it, you have to like start existing in like regular life like you're not being hunted down by a slow moving thing, but like you could be anywhere and it could just be like there, like heading towards you, and you're like, oh fuck, I have to figure out how to like navigate my day while also not being fucked to death by this
Yeah,
thing.
the goal is to not get fucked up.
And I will say one thing I think that makes the movie so effective is that opening like mini story, you know, like the cold open of the movie where it's like you see the girl who decides to just give in and be like killed by the thing, and you see like her legs all fucked up and like bent and like broken off, and it's like you're like, oh shit, whatever happened to her is what's going to happen to whoever gets caught. Like I don't want that to happen to me. Like they really set up perfectly like the stakes and like instill that paranoia by just like how they tell you how much you don't want this thing to catch you pretty early on, and in a very effective way. They show, they don't tell. It's a good movie.
I want you to watch. Going back to it, I want you to watch Hereditary.
I should watch
pretty
Hereditary.
Like it's certain parts of it are very hard watch. It's like it's like, you know, it turns into like horror, but it starts as almost like family drama horror, like it's like very grounded at first, and then it gets as ungrounded as possible by the end of it. It's like it starts off like gut wrenching, and then it turns into just like you never see it coming. I'll just leave it at that. I won't spoil anything. It's just it's a trip. It's a real trip. You're going on a journey when you watch it. I loved it a lot.
That's the main reason I haven't actually sat down to watch it yet, is it's like it's so easy to sit down and watch a bad horror movie because you're like, it's gonna be kind of fun, but like, you know, when you're sitting down and you're watching a good horror movie, like you are sort of signing up to be fucked up for a little bit after the movie's over. Yeah,
this like, movie's gonna play with the emotions that aren't fun ones. You know,
it's like, hey, do you want to sit down and like experience to some degree trauma after watching this movie? Yeah, I guess. All right. It's like the same as like watching a really fucking rough horror movie. It's like, hey, do you want to like, we're going to try and make you feel PTSD. We're going to ruin your day when you're done with this. You know?
I don't mean it in like a avoid it way, because it definitely is a fun horror movie in a lot of ways.
Like I love a good horror movie. Like I love when horror is effective.
Trauma incarnate is what that movie is, especially, you know, starting off.
Yeah, and that's what's.
But it's not like when I say that, it's not. I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but just to get this last thought out. And it's not like when I say that, it's not like one of those movies where somebody's like, "Hey, have you ever seen
Cannibal Holocaust?"
Like that, or like what's that?
Terrifier.
What's that movie about? Well, those are all horror, but like even like there's some dramas where you just like, this is gonna make you feel bad, and it's gonna be over, and you're not gonna feel like, wow, that was a good story. You're just like, oh, like there's that one about the
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream. Like that is just like a feel bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one's not quite that. Like it ends, and I was like, that was awesome, but
hey,
there was also like moments during it where,
oh shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off and lose track of the movie I was going to say.
No, it's all good.
Trainspotting.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's another one.
Trainspotting is also a movie that's just like a fucking bummer.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, this one, it ends and you're like, that was wild. That was awesome. But there was moments where it's just like real dark. But it's definitely worth a watch. I think the experience is good feelings overall, just because of how just because what it is, you know, like the story and everything. It's very like interesting and does some cool stuff. It's kind of all it's a wild ride.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
I feel that Yeah, I should watch it, but yeah, it is hard for me to like sit down and be like, all right, I'm gonna feel fucked up.
Yeah, and it will make you feel fucked up.
That's the hard part, is like I know what I'm signing up for so it's harder because like again, it's so much easier to watch a bad horror movie or a horror movie you don't know what you're getting into, because it's like, okay, a bad one especially, it's like it's almost funny, the bad horror movie, but
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
You have anything else you want to add to this drawing?
Not that I can think of.
All right, I'm gonna save it then.
Wait, I'm gonna before you do that, okay, I'm gonna try something, okay? I did
Go
this
ahead.
for the last one.
Real quick while you're doing that, Leviathan Den says, really looking forward to Sons of the Forest. Yeah, me too. I heard that, so it's still early access. I heard that they're officially saying it's done in like February, so it's a good thing we're playing this when we are, because I'd rather play a finished game, you know, always.
If they were gonna be finished in February, that's actually a surprisingly quick early access.
I think that's true. I think
the
thing I'm saying is true. But yeah. I mean, I think every early access thing comes out at different stages of completion, and I think this one was pretty far along when it came out.
Yeah, it's just
what I've heard,
especially for like the survival genre, like an early access is almost always like a ticket to fuck it, we can we'll be early access.
Well, it's usually an endless thing
forever. Yeah.
What's the game that is technically early access that's been out for like 10 years? I'm trying to
Minecraft?
think. I just no, I think that had its full release. Shit, what is it?
Ark?
I don't think it's Ark.
Raft?
No. I don't know. I don't remember what it is. But regardless, there's a lot of them that are just like, it's like an open-ended, like, it's going to be out for, it's just going to be early access permanently type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if I'm correct, I think it's almost done. Like they're about to drop the full release soon, and I would prefer to wait till then to even play it.
Yeah. How do you feel about this?
7 Days to Die. Crazy Kyle is correct. 7 Days.
7 Days to Die. Yes, that is. Yeah, very true. Very true. How do you feel about this little enhancement that I've made?
I like it. It's good.
Do you feel like it's too much? Like this is at 40%. Let's put it at 20. 20.
Here, let me move this over to my monitor because my I think that looks good. I like that where it's at.
33%, 1/3. All right.
I like it. What do you think?
I like it. I don't have much else I want to add to it. I mean, it took us like all 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I like the drawing. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Also, last thing, Leviathan Dead says that red-faced demon Insidious scene where the dude was behind that lady was freaky. I know exactly what you're talking about, and yeah, it was pretty freaky. There's the shot where it's like real tight on the character's face.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know. Have you seen the movie? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I have seen Insidious. I've seen like the first 5
Gotcha.
Insidious movies.
Man, I did not like that movie.
Me neither, man. I hated them. I watched them because my ex at
People
the time
like them, right?
enjoyed them. Yeah, Ryan was quite the fan, but I held my tongue. I didn't shit on her enjoyed movie.
Sure.
But
people didn't like what they like.
Yeah, I watched like 5 of them with her, and I hated every single one. Every single one.
I only saw the first one, and I had some scary moments in the first half, but then it turned in this, whenever they go into this like dream world thing, and it's
world,
just like,
yeah,
it felt like cartoonish. Like the things they thought would be scary just were not to me. It just felt like,
hey, aren't vaudeville clowns scary? And it's like, no, not really.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, Tiny Tim, that song's eerie, right? And it's like, well, I guess, but
if you weren't like the 8th movie I've seen do this, you know,
not that the villain is playing it on a piano, like up on like a it just felt like goofy. Like I was watching like,
I agree.
Like if like Disney made a horror movie or something.
And then like they would also have like the comic sidekick, like the comedic relief ghost hunter characters who would come with the old lady, and the ghost hunter characters would be like, what, dude, like we've checked out a bunch of ghosts before, and they're kind of like, again, the comedic relief, and it's just like, I hate this. These guys aren't funny. They're not relieving none of the tension that they're supposed to be relieving. I felt so. I was not
Also,
a fan of the Insidious movies.
It felt a little. I mean, I can only talk about the first one. It felt a little tonally like uneven too. Like the first half felt like a traditional like kind of like jump scary horror movie, like demon thing happening, and then all of a sudden they go to the dream world and stuff's just goofy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you lost me. This got weird.
And I feel like I don't have the perfect memory of them, but I do feel like Insidious is 1 through 5. If I watched, I at least watched 3 of them, but I felt like the sequels were the exact same, like basically the same movie, but just like different scenes pasted in.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
No,
yeah,
thank you.
that's what I have to say.
Yeah,
That's what I have to say about it. Stinks. That's what I have to say about that.
it's buy my book. Buy my book.
I saw the last. I don't know if it's true or not. Last Tarantino movie is called The Critic, or like The Movie Critic or something. And I'm like,
Interesting.
that's all I could think about.
Oh, really? That's funny.
It stinks.
I wish The Critic did better, because that movie has some of the funniest jokes, in my opinion. I think The Critic is a very good show. But the buy my book, do you remember that like particular joke in the episode? Or I don't know if it was like just one episode.
Not offhand.
It's just like he's got this cardboard cutout where he's like, it's selling his book, and it has like a voice thing on it that says buy my book, and then it's like annoying everybody. And then there's a scene towards the end of the episode, if I remember correctly, where the one guy who's got the mustache and he's got like a gun, he like breaks into the one apartment, and then like he sees like the cardboard cutout of the guy, and he goes, buy my book, and then like he shoots the cardboard cutout, and like the head pops off. And then John Lovett's like the actual character goes, hey, why'd you do that? All he was saying was buy my book. And then the guy points the gun at him, and he's like, okay, I'll stop. That's great.
That's fun.
It's a very good show.
Yeah, I never watched the whole show, but I'd seen parts and I enjoyed it.
It's very funny, and it's like very much making fun of like movies of the time too. So it's like it's like a very much a time capsule of the period that it came out, because they're like, hey, the sequel to this like Men in Black 2, or I don't know, like that's not a thing that they do, but it's like they're mocking very specific movies that came out when that show was airing. So you do get a little bit of that time capsule effect.
Not to dive into this because we're out of time, but lastly, if I just want to say, if Tarantino's last movie is called The Movie Critic, I just hope it's not like, here's my message to all those people that said my movies were too violent or blah blah blah. Like just write a narrative. I think he'll. Yeah. I don't think he'll do that, but it's just like a fear in the back of my head that he's gonna try to be like, fuck you all, like that kind of thing.
I don't think Quentin Tarantino's.
For a second.
Yeah, we did go to Critter Camp for a split second. I pressed the wrong button. I was trying to get my Stream Deck back. It was like asleep.
Yeah.
And I hit the wrong button. But yeah, no, I don't. I think Quentin Tarantino, his oeuvre, I don't know how you say that word, is at least regarded enough that he doesn't feel the need to like fire back at the critics. It would be very funny if because like M. Night Shyamalan made Lady in the Water, and if I remember correctly, Lady in the Water is just a giant like, these critics are being mean to me kind of movie. I don't feel like Quentin Tarantino will.
I feel like he knows better, but who knows?
Who knows? He's saying it's going to be his final movie, so who knows where his head is at? Who knows what he's thinking?
Right. Ian.
Brandon.
I don't feel like I've been trying to get away from saying plugs the last few episodes, just because, well, not just saying the word plugs, but just like going to plugs when we don't have them. I feel like it's a strange thing to do 100 episodes in a row.
It's so kind of a running joke of us not having anything to plug. We might have things to plug. We might have
things to plug, yeah.
Eventually.
Do you have anything to plug, Ian?
Go listen to Rat Taxi. It's a great album.
Yeah.
It's on all of the things. It's on YouTube for free. You could listen to it without paying a fucking dime, except for the internet. But go listen to Rat
Go to
Taxi.
your local McDonald's, sit in a booth, don't order anything, and use their internet.
Yeah, get a McFlurry.
Get a cup of water. You don't have to spend a cent. You can use the internet.
Yeah, just
Borrow somebody's phone who's at McDonald's.
Listen,
Don't have to spend a cent.
Borrow their AirPods and stick them into your gross ears. Listen to Rat Taxi. It's a great album. I'm a big fan. Buy my book. Buy my book. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, I believe, is sort of the plan. On
9:30.
9:30, maybe 9 o'clock to 9:30.
I don't know. I'll double check the
Same
chat,
bat
but yeah.
time, same or different bat time, same bat channel. We will be doing some empty head buffet where we'll be writing some sketches out and probably voice acting in one and other things related to the animated sketches we have been making.
You can find those on our YouTube.
That's right.
Check them out.
Watch.
They're high
our
quality
YouTube.
pieces of art.
They're some of the best animation you will find submitted on the specific days that we submitted them to YouTube.
On our channel.
On our channel.
Good stuff. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Leviathan Den, Crazy Kyle, Bell Rocket, Z Newt, Lizaze,
Lotus Clock. That feels like
and the rest. And that
and
one guy
the rest.
that offered us ways to grow our channel.
Who we banned.
All we had to do was send him the Google Play card.
Umbilicalac.
$20. A Target gift card. You said to send him that. Maybe a cashier's check. And then he would give us all the followers.
So many followers.
It's almost like we don't want to succeed, you know? People keep giving us these opportunities.
Turning them down.
Yeah, shame on us.
We're just
Thanks
so
everybody for
stodgy
watching.
and stingy. Stingy. Why did I say stodgy? What's stodgy? Anyways. Buy my book. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
So long, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Good night. So
we'll
long.
see you tomorrow. We'll see you next
Farewell.
week.
Buy my book. Goodbye. We say.